AFP is often on my show because Americans for Prosperity is a sponsor of my show. But I just had on Senator Scott, and I asked him point blank, do you support your friend Jim Lankford's Prevent Government Shutdown Act? And he said he hadn't read it, but he thinks he does. What does that act do specifically to Department of Defense funding, Kurt, if a shutdown happens or is avoided, if it kicks in?
Absolutely. So for the government overall, it would force Congress to stay in session while they're finishing up all of the appropriations bills. And in the meantime, it makes sure that Congress's dysfunction and drama doesn't become the American people's problem. It doesn't allow the services and the programs that the American people expect from their government to be interrupted. So that would certainly apply to the Department of Defense. It would make sure that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines keep getting paid, that all the contractors keep getting paid, that we can procure the weapons and other equipment that's needed to defend this country.
Now, the last time we had something like that was the sequester, and it was disastrous for the Department of Defense because it was automatic across-the-board cuts. Is that how this one works?
No, this is totally different. So this does not have a sequester. What it would do is continue funding at the current level. And like I was saying about, keeping the focus in Congress on finishing the appropriations, the point is not to allow funding to continue at prior levels for very long. It's just a stopgap, a backup, so that Congress can get going with the real business of getting the new appropriations bills done on time, so that the Department of Defense and other agencies have what they need in terms of authorizations and funding to do the mission that they're established to do. There is no sequester in this legislation. There's related legislation that other members have proposed that would impose a 1% or even a 5% cut after so many days. This one does not. It's flat funding.
Well, see, I don't mind cuts to everything but defense, although Senator Scott spoke up for Border Patrol and Homeland Security, so I suppose I'd modify that. Is there bipartisan support for this bill? Because at $33 trillion in debt, we have to do something about spending.
There absolutely is bipartisan support. In the Senate, there was a vote just last week. Wednesday evening, Senator Lankford had proposed an amendment to the minibus appropriations bill, which combines three different appropriations bills. And there were 47 Republicans and 9 Democrats that voted for that. Without the political cover that they probably need to get over the top, it was a 60-vote requirement. And then in the House, there's legislation that's co-led by Congressman Jody Arrington from Texas, a Republican, and Congressman Jimmy Panetta, a Democrat from California. And there are a number of bipartisan co-sponsors for that as well. We believe very strongly that this would be healthy for Congress as an institution, reclaim some of that Article 1 power that has been stolen or has been given to the executive branch. And it would also get us out of this endless cycle of bloated omnibus spending bills that pass right before Christmas, not because most members prefer them to current policy, but just because, they're better than a shutdown. And that's not very healthy. It concentrates too much power, too much leverage, and too much agenda setting with leadership and with senior appropriators.
Kurt Couchman, I wonder if you think the American people understand the debt bomb that is buried in our budget. Do they understand what happens when interest rates go up and you've got $33 trillion in debt? Does the average American voter get it?
I don't think so. But I will say that, we've had an increase in interest rates recently. We had a surge in inflation. Those would look mild compared to what happens if we don't get our debt under control. And if we let it spiral, we're already in the beginning stages of what I call the interest debt death spiral. And that means that as the interest rates go up and as the debt goes up, then they'll just sort of keep building on each other until we have a debt crisis. And when that happens, it's not a question of if anymore, it's a question of when. Then we could be seeing massive global turmoil in financial markets, economies, and also in national security implications. One of the things that could be adjusted relatively quickly is defense spending. And if we pull back without any warning from lots of places in the world, then there could be some security vacuums that would be really hard for our friends and partners to fill in a rapid way. So I'm concerned about all those things, and we're trying to get ahead of that.
The first step is to go to preventgovernmentshutdowns.com. Prevent Government Shutdowns, plural, preventgovernmentshutdowns.com, and get involved. Kurt, what does that do? If they go to preventgovernmentshutdowns.com, what happens?
Well, you go and you can learn more about this legislation, and this legislation is part of a broader package of institutional reforms. We have a lot of broken systems in DC. They block good results, they support bad outcomes. So we really need Congress and the president to step up and fix these problems. And right now, I'm not sure that we have a president who's willing to do that. But hopefully, this time next year, we'll be looking forward to a new president who'll be able to drive some real results.
I hope you are right. Kurt Couchman, thank you so much. Go to preventgovernmentshutdowns.com to learn more about the legislation, about the parallel bills that come along with it, the entire package. That's preventgovernmentshutdowns.com.